Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The mass murder in Oregon, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Shortly after 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9/11 dispatchers received reports of shots fired and casualties at the Umpqua Community College in Roseburg, Oregon, 180 miles south of Portland.
The UCC, this is going to be the Snyder Hall. Somebody is outside one of the doors, shooting through the door. We do have one female that has been shot at this time.
Exchanging shots with him. He's in the classroom on it's going to be the southeast side of the hall. The suspect is down. We've got multiple gunshot wounds. We're going to need multiple ambulances on scene.
I was sitting in class, and I had first heard the shot, and so one of the students in my class, she went out and checked it. She got shot twice, one in the arm and in the stomach, and she came back and she told us to lock the door, shut the lights off, and we sat there for 20 minutes waiting for police to show up.
Officers engaged that suspect. There was an exchange of gunfire. The shooter threat was neutralized. The shooter is deceased.
People came into the library and said that we need to call 911. I think it's crazy, and I have no idea how to handle it. And I'm so blessed that I was okay.
Courtney Moore, an 18-year-old from Rogue River, Oregon, was in her Writing 115 class at Snyder Hall, where all of this happened, when she heard a shot come through the window. She said she watched as her teacher was shot in the head. The gunman was inside the building at that point, she said, and was ordering people to get on the ground. Ms. Moore said that the man asked people to stand up and state their religion, and that then he began firing.
At this hour, there are 10 reported dead, 7 others wounded. The gunman, a 20-year-old who's now unidentified, was shot dead by police, as you heard. This is another black mark for all Americans, as people around the world must wonder what's going on in the land of the free. And it is our freedom that allows insane individuals to kill so many people. Guns are legal in America under the Second Amendment. Tonight, President Obama delivered an impassioned anti-gun speech, which we'll discuss later. But the mass murder today could not have been prevented by any legislation, in my opinion. Roseburg, Oregon is about as normal as it gets. A rural area that enjoys the stunning nature Oregon provides, and a relatively simple lifestyle centered on family and community. I worked in Oregon. I visited Roseburg. It's a calm place, but it's also gun country, as hunting is big in the area, and the rural setting means folks must protect themselves with firearms, as police protection is far away from many people. Now, as a journalist, it pains me to report stories like this, because I know how much personal damage is caused to the people and families affected by murder. The country itself takes a massive hit whenever this kind of thing happens. 32 people killed at Virginia Tech, 27 slain at Sandy Hook, 13 murdered at Fort Hood, 13 dead in Binghamton, New York, 12 murdered in Aurora, Colorado, the same number at the Navy Yard in Washington. Charleston, South Carolina, just last June, 9 shot dead in a church. There's no rational explanation for all the carnage, none. And no public policy will stop it. We are living in a very dangerous time, where deranged human beings feel murder is an entitlement. But the situation has now reached the crisis stage as America desperately searches for some kind of solution. Tonight we'll examine the situation from a number of angles, and that is the memo. Now for the top story tonight, joining us on the phone from Oregon, David Jakes, reporter for the Roseburg Beacon newspaper. David, first of all, it's unusual the suspect isn't identified yet, as the police shot him earlier today. What do you know?
Well, I can tell you what we've heard versus what we know. There is a name floating out there. I hesitate to release it, but it's on the social media site that, in fact, placed the warning bill yesterday that something like this was going to take place in the Northwest.
All right. So on social media, a man is being identified. I have the name, but I'm not going to put it out there just in case it's a cruel hoax and there were somebody else named this, then they would be besmirched. But usually the police will identify the individual when the individual is neutralized, as they say, shot dead in reality. Do you have any idea why they're not releasing the name?
Well, I don't, and I have a very good relationship with our local sheriff. I talked to him early as this was unfolding this morning, and I've made several attempts to get into direct contact with him, and to no avail. And the same thing is true of our elected commissioners. They can't get any answers either.
I don't understand, and they're going to have to explain why this is being kept so quiet. Now, there was also a report from the New York Times and other agencies that the gunman, we do know the gunman, by the way, is 20 years old, was 20 years old. They say he was a student. And allegedly, David, he went around asking other students about their religion. What religion are you? Is that being confirmed at all?
Well, let me tell you, we have a text from allegedly one of the students who was in the room at the time, and it reads as follows. The shooter was lining people up and asking if they were Christian. If they said yes, then they were shot in the head. If they said no or didn't answer, they were shot in the legs. And this person goes on to say that she was in the room, and anyway, she escaped being shot at all. But if this is true, Bill, I mean, it just adds a... I don't know how it gets worse than 13 students dead. Well, actually, it's 12 students and one faculty member confirmed dead. I don't know how it gets any worse unless you hear, this kind of a motive ascribed to it. It just...
Yeah, we might also mention, David, that our latest numbers are 7 dead, 10 dead now. It changes every hour on the hour. Now it's 10 dead and a number 13 or 14 wounded.
I think 13 is a good number, Bill.
13 dead is okay. 13 dead.
Yep.
Whatever it is, the situation in your community, as I mentioned, I've been there. This is so stunning because Roseburg is a peaceful place, is it not?
Oh, Bill, Roseburg is an ideal community for families. It's a small community based on a timber and agriculture economy. We have a burgeoning wine industry here. But, I mean, this is a place that people want to retire to. We've got a VA medical center, so we got a lot of veterans that come here. This is a wonderful, scenic part of the country, and you've been here, so you know this.
Yes,
but
and there is the gun culture, as I mentioned, but it's recreational hunting, and you need protection in rural areas like that. Finally, we're hearing that the college itself debated having armed security guards on campus, but they did not have them. Is that true? Have you been able to confirm that?
Well, I think there was one security guard today. I talked to the president, the most recent president. He's not here anymore, but Joe Olson, who was president for the last several years. I talked to him at his home in Boston today, and he said, David, it's not true. They're saying it's a gun-free zone, that campus. It's not a gun-free zone, and even our attorney general, who shouldn't understand the laws of the state of Oregon, doesn't seem to understand this concept. But I will tell you, today, the college president, the new president, came out and announced that from this day forward it will be gun-free zone. But, Bill, as you said at the introduction to your show, tomorrow isn't going to be any different than today. This gun-free zone status, if there had been signs every 10 feet, wouldn't have prevented this madman.
That's right. If you want to get a gun and you're an insane killer, you will get a gun, whether it's America or Norway or wherever. Hey, David, we really appreciate it. I know you've been working hard all day. You've done an excellent job, and thanks again.